Call the meeting of the North Reading School Committee to order for Monday, March 9th. Tonight we're going to focus most of our attention on budget workshop, discuss the fiscal 2010 budget. Before we get to that, is there any public input? Seeing no one or none, we'll move to our next item, which is student report. And tonight we have Patrick Wicker from the class of 2009. And I told Patrick I would embarrass him on camera, but it's my understanding that Patrick has been accepted to Cornell University, which is quite an achievement, and I want to congratulate you. That's, I would say, quite an achievement, and I know all the work that's gone into that. I know, for example, you're taking like 3 AP courses this senior year, and I don't know how anyone does that, but
Patrick couldn't get into UMass.
Yeah, you couldn't get into a state school.
Like Al and myself and Mel.
Yeah, we went to a state school.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That really is.
So Patrick, can you give us a report?
All right. First off, the biggest thing, I'm a little winded because it just came from rehearsal. Masker's production of Singing in the Rain is this coming weekend, and it'll also be the following weekend as well, so 2 weekends this year. And so we're just putting our final touches at show week this week. So we have a Friday night show, which is our opener, Saturday night, and a Sunday matinee. And then the following week we have a Friday night show and a Saturday night show. And we'll also be performing for the other elementary schools and middle school within the town during the school week. Progress reports just came out. And also it's going to be sports awards tomorrow night for winter sports. The Master Club, along with their musical, just performed at the Drama Guild this past Saturday, two Saturdays ago, and actually got some awards for its production of Imperfect Proposal, which is a one-act play, and it was a lot of fun. Spring sports start within a couple weeks. The senior class just hosted the dodgeball tournament, which was really successful, and there was a bunch of teams, and it's a fun night. The Interact Club is having a prom dress collection, so people can bring in their old and used prom dresses for those who need them. And Student Council is going on their Hyannis trip this week. For student work, I was going to talk about AP Spanish. And what AP Spanish does is gears us towards the test of AP Spanish to help us pass it and hopefully achieve a college credit. One of the main components of the test is there's a listening section. And you have to read, you get 2 sources to read. And then what the student has to do is create a 5-minute, you have 2 to 5 minutes to make up a presentation that you have to record and that gets graded. So we've given a lot of practice ones, but what my teacher just recently decided was to make it more interesting, to have the students come up with their own ideas and topics and get sources that the rest of the class can share, and then they'll create a presentation, and that way we can get accustomed to listening and also reading Spanish, so which is very helpful.
I saw, I was up at Newburyport High School for the festival, and I thought the one-act play Imperfect Proposal was great, and I know we received several awards for performances and for costumes and other things. But it was a great play. The set was great, and it was really fun. I think that's the first time we've ever participated.
Yeah, it was the first year doing it, so it was a lot of fun.
And I know it's all part of the 40th year anniversary for the Maskers Club. But that was a lot of fun. There were something like 10 or 11 high schools. I think there were 25 or so sites throughout the state also. So, any questions for Patrick? Do you need to run back over to the high school, or
no,
you're all done?
I'm going to go home for the day.
All right, great.
All right,
thanks,
thank
Patrick. So next we have our main order of business tonight, which is, I also want to thank our head of grounds and custodians and maintenance, Mr. Wayne Hardiker, for making it warm in here. Wayne, you perform magic. You and your guys, we appreciate it. Great job.
Next year we'll see you on 1st of December, all right?
So let's get to our budget workshop. We've been discussing this budget now almost since the beginning of the school year. And about 2 months ago, Mr. Nelson and Dr. Troughton presented us with a level services budget, which it became clear immediately we did not have the funds for. I will say that there is we're going to have this budget workshop tonight, but there is a tremendous amount of information that is up in the air. Every day we hear something new about stimulus funds. Every day we get more documentation that gives us the rules that are conflicting from one day to the next, or conflicting within the document that we get as to how we can spend the money and how we can't spend the money. So I think I said to Dr. Schroten the other day, things become murkier by the day, but then he corrected me and he said, yes, but they're becoming more optimistically murky, which they are. However, we have no definitive answer yet on how much money we're getting, when we're going to be getting it, how we can spend it, and how we have to account for that money that is spent. So it's fairly difficult for us to put together a solid budget because we just don't know. So right now we're acting on the number that we were provided with by the selectmen a couple of weeks ago, which is the number we're working toward. David?
I would add also that I think everyone is aware that the town meeting, which starts on April 6th,
Yes.
will not include on April 6th the budget items. The budget will not be considered until April 27th. Traditionally, the warrant goes to print. Actually, I believe the Board of Selectmen is signing the warrant tonight, and that it will go out to print. But the annual town meeting warrant will not include any budget information from on the municipal side or on the school committee side. So part of that change is driven by this new information that's coming in, and I think it's a wise decision to postpone any decisions on budget until a later time as possible in April. Normally tonight we would be holding our public hearing on the budget, and in fact it was scheduled in our annual school calendar to be the budget hearing. But because of that, because of the delay when town meetings takes up the budget, and because the number will not be printed in the warrant, we're not holding the formal budget hearing tonight. And I actually sent an email out on Friday through the Alert Now system to all parents and staff, saying that the public hearing is not going to be tonight. So I hope that information has gotten out, because it was kind of a last minute change. We did hold 2 budget forums, last Tuesday night and then the prior week in the morning, Tuesday morning. And I think at each, at one of those, the Tuesday night meeting, we had about 50 people in attendance, and then the previous week probably had about 75 people in attendance. It was, I think, good feedback from not only parents, but we had staff members, the administrative team was there as well, and lots of discussions about where we stand as a school department, some of the reductions that have already been approved by the school committee under level 1, and some basic discussion about where we go next. So really tonight, what my recommendation would be in this budget workshop is to go back to those level 1 reductions. And in the information that I presented to the committee in my memo, you will note that in addition to the 12 level 1 reductions, there are some other reductions which I would like to recommend to the school committee tonight for consideration in terms of shaping up the level services budget.
I guess before you do that, my inclination is to not take any votes tonight, even if you recommend these to us, because I just don't see any sense right now in voting to cut things when who knows what kind of money we're going to be getting back. We'll be going back, maybe voting to add things back, into the budget. So I don't know if you intended us to vote tonight, or because I'd prefer not to. I don't know what the rest. It just doesn't make sense to me given the numbers we're starting to see thrown around about stimulus money.
Well, I agree. I think some of these, even on the level 1, I know that in the past I've termed these as pretty much a done deal. There are a couple of items on the additional list, and they're all indicated with an asterisk, that I think will not affect the budget one way or the other. And if I could point those out, the item number, item number 15 is actually a correction. All right, item number 15, and if you have a copy of the preliminary budget with you, and I believe it was included in the material, if you turn to page 11 in the preliminary budget, this is a list of administrative salaries, and the committee is aware that when the former Wood School principal, Dr. Katsos, left, we had an interim period between her last day and when Mr. McKay came on officially. And so we had an interim principal, Mr. Lassy served in that capacity. And so there's actually an error in that we're reflecting a carryover of that interim principal salary into FY10, and it should not be there. So that one I have no, it's not going to matter. It should not be in the budget whatsoever, and it would reduce the level services budget by an amount of money. And the other one that the committee may want to consider is, well, again, it's up for question, but perhaps number 19, given that the committee has already reduced the school year this year and set a calendar, but again, that may now be a new question.
Right, for now
that
we've
we're
done
coming
that,
back,
right.
that we may want to go back and restore 1 or 2 days or
Right.
both days, given the fact that there could be additional stimulus money. And again, if I could just comment on this, I agree with Mr. Webster. There is no definitive information. Everyone seems to have an opinion, and there's a lot of free opinion that's out there. I know that we have all received various communications from different legislative offices, both at the state and at through the Massachusetts level, about what those monies could be. But even though the dollar value appears to be very optimistic in terms of its number, there are many questions in terms of how that's going to be applied, in what ways can it be applied, and should it be applied directly against the money or against the budget. In the packet of material, I've also included a memorandum from Christine Dajo, our Director of Special Education and Pupil Personnel Services, because I've asked Christine to think about how we would use some additional money in special ed, IDEA money. And the number that I've heard for IDEA, the special ed money, is upwards of $640,000. However, that money is to be allocated over 3 years, beginning with this year, 09, 10, and 11. But the questions that we don't have answered at this point include, is that money that is above and beyond the money that we already receive for IDEA? Typically, we get money that is federal money. It goes toward supplementing the budget. Typically, we don't hear about the next year's amount until June. So we're receiving now about 480 to, where's Chris? 480 to 500, 492. This year, we would not be hearing about next year's IDEA money until June. And I don't know whether there'll be a reduction in that amount because of the new stimulus money, or whether they're going to be commingled, or how that's going to work. But in any case,